All right, Parashat Para. Parashat Para became maybe the symbol of mysterious and mysteries in throughout the Torah and so on and so on. One of those parashiot like that. It tells us that we have a red heifer that didn't carry any burden on it, and the ashes of it will purify those who are impure. The question is there a reason why? Is there a reason why? Kohelet, ecclesiastic, said on that in chapter
16.
I don't think there is 16.
Maybe 8.
7, verse
6.
23.
2 times 3.
כל זאת ניסיתי בחוכמה, אמרתי אך כמנה והיא רחוקה ממני. As smart as I was, and I tried to outsmart everything and to know everything, this is beyond me. That's basically what King Solomon had said. Chazal referred to it as the issue when he was referred to on the case of the Para Aduma. And everybody's trying to come up with excuses and reasons for that, and the whole entire thing. But I want to try to introduce you to a little different term, take you like around some other things. We'll start with the unknown, and then we'll see where it takes us. So in Midrash Tanchuma, there is a story about this case that. It goes the following: Maaseh beger echad, the question of one convert, or maybe a ger toshav in that matter. He came to Rabbi Yochanan and he says, "Ilin melaya de'atun avdin." Those things in which you are doing, nir'im kimin kshafim. It looks like magic, some kind of hocus pocus. Atem mevi'im para. You bring a cow, a red heifer, a young red heifer with all the details. V'sofinota, and you burn it. I mean, you kill it and you burn the cow with all the other ingredients inside. V'kochinota, and you grind it. V'achar notlin et afara, and you take the ashes. V'im echad mikem metameh. This probably was a ger toshav, not a ger tzedek. V'echad mikem metameh. And you take it, and if some of you was tameh met, he has the impurity of a dead person on him, mazim alav shnayim v'shalosh tipin, they pour 2 or 3 drops on him, v'omrim lo teharta, you are pure. So Amar le Rav Yochanan said to him, Nichnesa becha ruach chazazit miyamecha. In other words, ruach chazazit is like let's call it a demon, or what we will call today, I don't know what we will call it today. Everybody today seems possessed with something. Well, in other words, were you ever possessed? Amar lela? No, I wasn't. Amar le shema ra'ita adam shenichnesa bo ruach chazazit. Have you ever seen a person that became possessed? So he said yes. So Rabbi Yochanan said to him, "V'ma atem osim lo?" And what do you do to him? So he answered, "Mevi'in ikarin." We bring some material, some incense and so on. Me'ashnim tachtav. We put it underneath him. We smoke it underneath it. So the smell of the smoke will purify him. U'marbitzim alei mayim, and we pour water on it. Like marbitzim et habayit. For those of you who are here learning halachot Shabbat. V'hi borachat, and then that thing runs away. Amar le ishmeu oznecha ma she'ata motzi mipicha. Hear what you are saying. Kach haruach hazo hi ruach hatuma. This possession, the person is possessed with the demon inside of him, comes from the side of impurity. The dechtiv, because it says v'gam et haneviim. Also the prophets, ve'et ruach hatuma, and the impurity or the impure spirit, ha'avir min haaretz, I'm going to remove from this land. Mazin alav meimi denidav u'boach. So is us. We put the water of the para aduma, the red heifer, and then the impurity runs away. The same thing that you do, we do. Tu casa, mi casa. Mucho dinero, mucho trabajo, right? No, the other way around. Yeah.
Mucho trabajo.
Poco dinero, yes. Yeah. Mucho persona. No mucho persona. Poco persona, mucho tava. Yeah, one of those things, yes. So after that goy went out, so the students, the Talmidim, Rabbi Yochanan came to him, says, Rabinu, leze dachita bakanei. You told them stories, we hear that, we understand that. Lanu ma ata omer. What do you tell us? Amar lahem, chayechem, guys, compadres. Lo hamet metame, lo hapara metaeret. The dead person is not going to make, it doesn't make you impure. The para doesn't make you pure. Velo hamayim metaharim, and also the water doesn't pure you. Ela amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Chuka chakaketi, gezerah gazarti. This is my law, this is my decree. Ein ata rashai la'avor al gezerati. Where's Alon when I need him? You're not allowed, but Zalman is here. You're not allowed to violate my decree. That's what I said. Remember that today. Dichtiv zot chukat haTorah. That's what the Torah says. So now that we're talking about the red heifer, which is a very interesting thing altogether, I want to talk to you about something. Yesterday I went to visit a very good friend of mine that his father passed away. So I went to do a Yeshiva call. That was one of my old chavrutas, a wonderful person. I knew his father. His father was also an unbelievable man. And that kind of brought about in me everything that I experienced when I was sitting Shiva for my father, not such a long time ago. It's almost a year, it hasn't passed a year yet. And it kind of startled me. I mean, after that, believe me, all night long I was dreaming about my father and somebody else that I really loved a lot that also passed away. Those guys, the two of them, haven't stopped bothering me all night long. I mean, one dream after the other. I got up in the morning, I was tired, I said, guys, I want to sleep a little bit. Really, one dream after the other. One time I dreamt of my father, I woke up, dreamt about the other guy, I woke up. Hey, if I knew you were coming.
I do it on purpose.
So, brings us about something that, we all struggle with. It's okay. Looking good, man. Always a pleasure. And that something is called death. Death. Death is a very close and unexplained phenomenon. I don't care how much you think you're okay with death. Nobody is okay with it. And nobody knows and nobody understands what it is, but we know what it does to us. And it doesn't make a difference how smart you are. It doesn't make a difference how brilliant you are. You can understand, you can comprehend what death is. You could see death when somebody else is dying. You could see another person dead. You could understand that he's dead, you put him in the ground and so on and so forth. But there's one thing you cannot understand it, you cannot picture it in yourself. Is your own self dying. And it petrifies us. You can recognize the possibility of death in first tense. It's beyond us. What we have, we understand. What we have, life and so on and so forth, we understand. And we apply to what we have, we apply the power of logic. We apply logic or whatever little logic we have, but we apply so-called logic that we deal with. But death, you can apply any logic to it. And in a way, death is free from any kind of comprehension or any kind of recognition that we could like associate ourselves with. Going back, so the color red represents to us the blood. That according to the Torah, the blood is the nefesh. The soul goes within the blood. As the Torah says, Hadam hu hanafesh, and that's in Dvarim, and death, which is the separation of the soul from the body, that's something that it's very difficult to understand. How is this possible? How is it possible that the soul stays within us? How is it possible that the soul leaves us? That's something that are riddles and questions that we are not going to ever understand nor find a solution to. Even if you will sit down for 1,000 years, you are not going to be able to understand that. That's simply above you. Not you, me, all of us. It's above us. We can't think of that. It will be the same thing as if a creature that will come from a different dimension would come and try to explain to us how things looks in a different dimension. It will be possible. I mean, for example, the famous thing of like how is a fourth dimensional cube looks like. So there is a way to do so with graphics, but it's still, in graphics is only one dimension because, it's still graphic. But give you an example, but how do you look in a fourth dimension? You can't understand it because our world is mainly a three-dimensional world. So it's beyond us. Because the nefesh is not from this world. So we can understand that. Kohelet, I guess we are like in a swing of Kohelet today. Kohelet says, Mi yodea ruach bnei ha'adam ha'olai lemala, who knows the human spirit that goes up, veruach ha'behema ha'yoredet hi lemata la'aretz. Nobody knows those things. Zalman, you want to do me a favor? You want to see who's there? Oh, it's okay. It's fine. Sit down.
It's like a rabbi.
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
So the red, let's call it, instead of red heifer, we call it red cow. So the red cow that didn't have any burden on it symbolizes or becomes the symbol of this riddle that we can't expand on, and it stays unsolved. And however, even though you can't give it a solution, or you can't really understand what it is, you could still maybe respond to death. And our parasha, if you look at it from a different point of view, we always looked at the parasha face in. I want to look at the parasha from above, like Google Earth, look it from above, not like you're driving with a car. You look from above. It's very good if you're a realtor. You want to see, let's say you buy a state in New York or some kind of a land. You want to see exactly how's the lay of the land to get a different understanding. Things look different from above. So maybe we could do the same thing here. And maybe we could, if we do so, we could able to expose a whole system, a whole apparatus that that becomes as a chain reaction to that case of the Parah Adumah, and what's the association of that. So right after the story of the Parah Adumah, we have the story of the death of Miriam. Miriam dies. And the Pasuk says, Vayavo bnei Israel, and Am Israel came, Kol ha'eda, or the whole gang, Midbar Tzin, to Midbar Tzin in the first month, Vayeshev ha'am bekadesh, Vatamat sham Miriam vatikaber sham, and she was buried there. I don't want to hear any stories that somebody dragged Miriam, she's buried somewhere else. She was buried somewhere in the Negev. We don't know, somewhere there. The Gemara in Masechet Moed Katan said something, and it's daf in Moed Katan daf Chavchet, and Rashi explains over there about the proximity of those parashiot, and Rashi says, Lama nismecha mitat Miriam leparashat Parah Adumah? Why is the story of the death of Miriam is adjoined to the death of the Parah Adumah? Lomar lecha Ma korbanot mechaprein, af mitzat tzadikim mechaperet. Why is the korban becomes an atonement? Also, the death of the righteous people becomes an atonement. Now you can understand exactly where the Christians derive and made a whole religion out of that. When they say that, the death of Jesus is the atonement for your sins, blah blah blah, and all kind of other stuff like that, right? They took it straight from here. It's a pure Jewish concept. However, there's a big difference between the two. Of course, let's not confuse ourselves. It was all borrowed to confuse us, but let's not, So and why am I mentioning it? Because if somebody will come and mention you that, I want you to know that it's all borrowed and it's not like this one. But that's what the Gemara says. The death of the tzaddikim mechaper, and we need to say exactly what it is. So let's look at this a little bit different. A little different for the proximity of this parashah. So after the parasha Parat, it talks about death in a general concept. There is a specific story of the death of Miriam. So that's the klal and that's the prat. And right after the death of Miriam, there is another story, which is the riv of the mayim, the fight, the quarrel that they had over water. And it says the following: Velo hayamayim la'eda, and the Chevra did not have water. Vayikhalu al Moshe and Aaron, and they gathered on top of Moshe and Aaron. Vayarev ha'am Moshe v'Aaron, vayomu lemo, and they said to Moshe and Aaron, Velu gavanu begeva achenu livnei Hashem, velama hevetem et ke'al Hashem el hamidbar haze lamut sham anachnu ve'yirenu, velama העליתנו ממצרים להביא אותנו אל המקום הרע הזה, לא מקום זרע ותאנה ותאנה וגפן ורימון ומים אין לשתות. Why did you bring us to this God-forsaken place? We should have died beforehand. Why did you bring us here? It's like those guys are. It's. You have to pay attention to those words. Rashi says, "Velo haya mayim la'eda," and they didn't have water. Mikan. From here we learn shekol mem shana, that for 40 years haya lahem haber b'schut Miriam. The water, the well that kept on generating itself anywhere they went, there was only the merit of Miriam. Now that she's dead, they have no water. Good? Not good. I want to offer you something else. And you need to understand. The quarrel, the fight that they had was not as a result of a objective necessity that they just didn't have water. Because many times, when we don't have something, when there is a shortage of something, then there's no quarrel. Everybody, I know stories, and my parents told me stories, that in the beginning of the state of Israel, there was no food. No food. And they had portions. Everybody got a portion. You got a piece of bread, or half a loaf of bread per person, you got an egg. And that was it. They ate margarine. They had a lot of margarine. But nobody was fighting. Everybody was standing in line, and in Russia was the same thing. People would stand in line. There's a shortage, so there's no fight. So why they were fighting here? There was a shortage. Everybody has a shortage, so nothing to fight. And yet, and sometimes when we have an abundance of things, that there is a fighting. We need to understand that the death of Miriam caused something a certain turmoil in the nation. She was a feminine figure. She was a female figure between the three brothers that basically led the nations: Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam. Right, the three of them. And when Miriam, the woman, disappeared, a certain softness was gone together with her. Now, you have to pay attention to this point. And because of that, there is a revelation of lack of correlation, or lack of how should I say it? Proper setting into reality. Right now, because she was gone, shortage became more evident, and that caused a lack of quiet. They were very, up in arms. That caused them to fight. Now, it's very possible that even before the death of Miriam, they didn't have water. And still there was no fight. They weren't fighting about it. They didn't come to Moshe. However, a death of a significant figure, whether it's in a nation where it's a leader or somebody in a family or somebody what is a significant figure, brings up or bring about tension between men and reality. All of a sudden, reality had changed. I mean, I still cannot believe, it's almost a year, I still cannot believe that I would never see my father again, until Tchiyat HaMetim. But I would not see my father again. I want to talk to him, he's not there. It's mind-boggling. It creates a new reality, that's it. I remember the last time I kissed my father, I didn't want to let go of him. Because I said, that's probably going to be the last time that I'm touching my father, the last time that I'm going to kiss my father. And I left and I felt like a piece of garbage, I'll tell you the truth. My father was laying there in the hospital with my mother. Okay, he had other visitors, and I had to turn around and go. I just, it creates a problem. It creates a certain distortion in your reality. And that's what happened to the people. It happens to the people, again, in all levels. Look what happened to the United States, to the American nation, after the killing or the murder of JFK. America was not the same. Everybody refers to it as the loss of the innocence. America was not the same afterward. I don't want so innocent, but you know what I'm saying. It wasn't the same. And we need to understand that this is something that was going to happen to all of us, and we need to prepare for that. You're never ready, but you need to understand to put in place a certain cognitive procedures to understand what is about to happen to you, so you won't be taken by surprise by this. So, but those lessons, hopefully you'll understand, will take this reality and be able to soften it a little bit, so you'll be able to deal. If not, there is a fight, there is a quarrel, you become upset. And usually who you blame somebody, you usually blame God. However, as a result of this complaint, Moshe and Aaron are called upon by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and they said to them, go speak to the rock, right? And go get the water, speak to the rock and water will come out, right? But Moshe fails on that. Moshe fails, and he takes his stick, and hits the rock, right? And then by hitting the rock, the water comes out. And I can tell you, there were rivers of ink that were written on this thing. Why did Moshe deserve this, and so on and so forth. However, the Pasuk itself, the Torah itself, refers to it as something that is quite unique. The Torah says, Kadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe and Aaron, Ya'an lo he'emantem bi lehagidisheni le'inei bnei Yisrael. You did not believe, lehamid, we'll say, that didn't believe in me, to sanctify me in the eyes of Am Yisrael. Lachen, therefore, lo taviu et hakahal hazeh el haaretz asher natati lahem. You are not going to bring these people to this land which I gave them. And this is why I started to explain to you in the morning. Emunah, what we call emunah, belief, faith. In the word of, or in biblical terms, doesn't mean faith. Emunah, in biblical terms, doesn't mean faith. It means trust. Leha'amin. Ata ma'amin bi, as we said today, as Yosef said today, right? Shtar amanah, it's a document of trust. I'm writing you a trust, I'm trusting you that you're going to pay, I'm trusting you're going to give me. Shtar amanah. It's a document of trust. Leha'amin mishum, to trust. So it is impossible for anybody in the Tanakh to say, I don't believe that there is a God. So it's not what we refer to. I don't believe there's a God. No, that's not it. Rather than, I don't believe that God is capable. I don't believe that God is capable. And that's more like this. And the Pasuk, if you look at the Pasuk again, it says that lack of of trust causes lack of kedusha, of holiness. And by the way, you can apply it to your life as well. When you don't trust fully in Hashem, you don't trust that He's capable of providing you more than you deserve, and exactly as you promised, you're going to take upon your kedusha. Right? Whether it's your work, whether it's your relationships, and so on and so forth. You don't believe that God is capable. You believe that there is a God, but you don't believe He's capable. To us as well. So, but Moshe Rabbeinu believed in it. He spoke to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He did all these things. But why is it, if you look at it, why is it that hitting the stone, the rock, is less than talking to the stone? For that it needs to be punished. And the reason is like this. In order to crack down reality, to understand reality, it's very simple, very easy to give a reason with a cause to correlate between hitting and bringing the water. Right? I hit the rock, I cracked the rock open, water comes out. It makes sense. He did that before, and he was told to, did it before. However, the difference is in the image that the leader is presenting to his people based on his action. And that's true to all of you, because all of you are going to be, if you're not by now, husbands and fathers and leaders of companies and whatever it is that you're out there to be. If anywhere you're going to be on top, you need to pay very close attention to what I'm about to tell you. Remember I told you about the softness that Miriam brought with her? So let's go back now to the softness of that. The calm person who speaks calmly to the rock, he quiets down and he calms down the essence of the soul of the people that caused the fight. They were angry, they were upset, something that was missing. So he talks to them calmly, relax, it's okay. Not out of weakness, but out of softness. Out of softness. I'll borrow a concept from martial arts. They call it a iron fist wrapped in cotton. It's very soft to touch, but it's solid. That silence of quiet, the softness that is a powerful softness, that comes from a place of power. Not sheer power of muscles and hitting, but rather something deeper. And that's what the people needed. They needed something to penetrate their soul, because that quarrel that they had came from an unsettled soul. So they didn't need a physical act. They needed something much deeper to calm their soul. And Moshe didn't do it. And Moshe failed in that. So instead of talking softly to the stone, hey stone, how are you stone? ¿Qué pasó? ¿Estás bueno? Sí, הכול בסדר, right? Kif halak. Like, please, por favor, tranquilo, give us some water. Moshe Rabbeinu was Faradi, so he spoke Spanish, right? Give us some water, and the stone will open up, and water will come out. Now he comes in, people are angry, they're yelling. By the way, you go to any supermarket or any shopping mall, and you see the kid that throws a tantrum, and then you see the behemoth mother or father screaming, like this. What happens? It becomes catastrophic. So instead of calming the soul down, he puts more pressure on them. He puts them under pressure. He yells, he hits, and so on and so forth. And therefore, he makes the quarrel even deeper. In other words, and the quarrel was, who did they pick on? They picked on Hashem. So now that increases their frustration with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And because of that, they got punished. There was lack of kedusha. They got punished. And that's a chain reaction. And that comes a chain reaction. And we have the death of Miriam, which took away that calming effect of Miriam had, the motherly figure that they had. And as a result of that, there is a fight. By the way, this is why it's very important, and you see the kids that chas v'shalom lose a father or lose a mother, it's a very stressful for them because it's completely imbalanced. I would hate to think, and I really mean that, I would hate to think what will happen to kids who don't have those two opposites, when they have two mothers and two fathers or something, you know what I'm saying, I don't understand, I just don't understand. How can a kid like this grow normal? Because he needs that mentality. It's okay, one is a militant female, the other one is more this, But still, those attributes are not there. Something is missing. Spiritually, something is missing. I just don't understand how is this possible. And that's the reason. So after that, of course, we have the request of Moshe from Edom. Right? Are you guys okay, by the way? You're not bored? You okay? You have the request of Moshe to go through Edom, through his border, and pay attention to what he's saying. Na'abrana be'artzecha, we shall pass through your land. Lo na'avor basadeh uvakerem, we're not going to go through a field and to a vineyard. Velo nishteh mei be'er, we're not going to drink the water from your be'er. We're going to have our own sources. Derech hamelech nilech, we're going to make a shortcut. We're going to go straight, on the highway, no scenic roads, straight on the highway. Lo niteh yamin usmo ad asher na'avor gvulecha. And of course, Edom says, no, you're not going to do that. So when there is no, and why is that? Because when there is no harmony, there's no synchronization, there's no fitting between the person to himself. In other words, between Moshe, right, him. There's no, that's Sam and Michael sending us pictures here. Sounds like a church bell on, what do you call it? A Buddhist monastery, on steroids, begging all the time.
The symbol.
Huh?
The symbol.
Yeah, whatever it is. Gong, I don't know. So Moshe did not fit the reality between him and himself. So therefore there is no correlation between man and his community. And that is the quarrel, then we have a problem. So therefore, if there is no such thing, there is no correlation, there's no synchronization between the man and the people in which he represents. And since that, he could not come in front of his people. That's very difficult and today it's true too. When you have a nation that doesn't give its support to its leader, it's very difficult for that particular leader to go in to negotiate on behalf of his people to another nation. They're going to say, listen, we're not going to bother with you because, your people are now behind you. And by the way, that's what many nations try to do. Before they start negotiations, they try to put a division between the leader and its people, and you look around you and you see it all the time. Right before, every time they're supposed to have some kind of peace talk in Israel, you said those Palestinians in Machshimam, they start balagan, they start a big mess in there, so, give him, don't give him, don't give him. So then right away, the leaders, so-called, of Israel come with the lower hand, not with the upper hand, and they lose. And that's true here. The reason why the Edomite says no is because it was not fitting. It was not fitting. So that becomes even worse exaggerated, that lack of synchronicity, the less of fitting, the lack of harmony. Right after that, of course, Aharon dies. It says, "Vayiru kol ha'eda ki gava Aharon," and they saw that the people saw that Aharon died. Vayivku et Aharon 30 yom kol Beit Israel, and they cried for him for 30 days. There's a lot of emotions that come out from this pasuk, and Chachamim or Darshem that Aharon was beloved on all the people. People loved him. People loved him because he reached out to them. Moshe was the leader, was the tough guy, was the leader, and he was the soft one. So now Miriam is gone, and now Aharon is gone, and Aaron was soft, and all of a sudden we're standing with this hard core of a person that is not being balanced by two soft sides, Aaron and Miriam. And it becomes very difficult. And it almost becomes the job of Moshe and his relationship with the people almost becomes impossible. And we need to understand why exactly it's like that. And then, if you look in the next chapter, it continues further. The Kna'anim fights with the Jews, right? There's another quarrel between the men and its leaders. Lama Elitanu, what did you bring us here, right? And another nation doesn't let them pass through, which is the Amorei. They also don't let them through. And you see that maybe instead of calling it Parashat Para, we call it the Parasha of non-fitting. Things don't fit between internal and external. And that's true to us also. That's why it's very difficult for you to make your case to other people. That's why I try to explain to you today. If you don't feel complete with what you're doing internally, even though you have a very beautiful facade outside as a person shomer Torah mitzvot, hakol tov v'yafeh, however, internally, you don't synchronize with yourself. There is a gap between who you are and what you show. You're never going to be able to make the case to somebody else. And that's why it's very hard for us to make our case to our brothers and sisters who are not shomer Torah mitzvot. Because something is not fitting the inside and the outside. We put too much attention on the outside. We neglect the inside completely. And that creates even a bigger gap. Argument's sake, let's say, for example, you want somebody to say, listen, it's very important for you to learn Torah. Very important to you as a Jew, and they give him the whole spiel. It's going to ask you, well, Mr. Z over there, no, you tzaddik, you're coming every day, but you know what I'm saying. How many do you learn? Say, listen, Parnasa is very hard for me. I try to do my best. The guy is never going to learn. It doesn't fit your story to what you tell him and what you do. And that's what happens all the time. So, and then also it becomes a lack of synchronization and synchronicity between you and the world, and then everything collapses upon you. Everything collapses. And then comes, of course, death, which is the Avi Avot, the fathers of all unharmony procedures that happen to us. And that hits us all in the face, one way or another. So therefore, the only thing that we can do is chase, instead of being so involved with that, we should stick to life. Ubacharta b'chaim. But then again, if you say ubacharta b'chaim, the question needs to be asked, what is exactly life? What is exactly life? So according to this parasha, life is maybe the ability to match the internal and the external. To match the external and the internal. In other words, not to get angry or to be upset about because on something that doesn't move itself according to my internal pace. Or maybe I should say to calm the external more, to calm it down, to come softer to it, to match your external to the movements of life, to the wave of life, not to go head to head. You try to very hard to apply to school to a certain degree or program, because that's the image that you had in your life all the time since you were a kid, or somebody put it in your head, and that's not really who you are. Somebody told you all the time, Mr. J, you should be, not Dr. J, Mr. J, you should become a doctor, and you said, yeah, you heard it for so many years, but really you don't want to become a doctor, you want to become a cowboy, you want to grow sheep in upstate New York and make goat cheese, right? So you need to match the inside to the outside, so forget about that, calm it down. It says, okay, don't worry, it's not a problem, you're not getting into school, it's okay, you don't want it to begin with. Talk to yourself as well. I mean, not out loud, of course, right? We need to understand. I mean, the same thing as, let's say, for example, when a baby is crying, right? His parents take him in the hands and they shake him like this, and they calm him down. Oh, little baby, right? You need somebody. You don't tell the baby, shut up, samurai, you don't talk like this, baby.
After 3 hours you do, Rabbi. After 3 hours you do.
And I'll tell you what, you're right. But then after 5 hours, you still find yourself holding the baby like this. You're not going to stop.
You do everything. You end up with that too.
But however, if you calmly, right? Hold the baby, right? The baby is crying. What does the baby know? He doesn't know. You hold him like this, you come to him, then he stops, and then things are different. Baby feels better, you feel better, and you know what? He's not going to grow up to become a messed up person. I'm telling you that for sure. So is Moshe. Moshe should have calmed the people. However, he's not able to really melt down the bitterness that there's before, internally. And that's something that is very difficult for us. That we get frustrated is lack of ability to change, if not reality, the way we relate to it. We become very frustrated, and then becomes a problem. It's very hard. It's very hard. So it's very hard when we lose things. Moshe lost two figures that were to him almost like more than a mother and a father. Was his brother and sister, but they were by him all the time, from the very beginning. Miriam and Aaron, they're always there for him, and now he's alone. And one day we're going to be alone too. And yes, one day, what can you do? All our parents will die, and we're going to be alone. But you could be like 60 years old, and you're going to be a yatom. You're not a yatom. You're a big man already. You're smelling like mothballs already. You're 60-something years old. It doesn't make a difference at what age. You're always going to feel very sad when your parents are gone. And we need to understand that concept is called the nature of lacking in our lives, what exactly it in regular human perception. Most of us, chisaron, not having, lacking, is, we're going to be a little bit late if you don't mind. It looks like a negative thing. It's not having something or losing something always seems to us as a bad thing. It's not a good thing. But we need to learn how to look at things. That lack of missing or the feeling of lacking causes discomfort, causes us to be restless. And nobody likes to feel like he's missing or needs something or he doesn't have something. So, by the way, that makes us do very crazy things. For example, you're going to buy or you're going to lease, I don't know, a crazy car that you don't really need it, just because you need to feel like you have something. Like, I don't know, some crazy Mercedes or something like that. Why do you need it? Because, get yourself a Corolla. But something is missing inside of you. That's why we buy all these things. Everything that you feel that you do is because something inside of you feel like you don't have. And that causes a discomfort in you. And then you become possessed of reaching out to it. And you have to get it. But is it so? The question is it so? Is it so? When we see that something is missing inside of us, most of us feel that there is or we need something, that we feel like there is a canyon, a Grand Canyon open right in the bottom of our feet. And we feel very incomplete, we feel very unstable and restless. And that's exactly the point that Baal HaSulam, one of the Mefarshim on the Zohar, says, and comes in and he turns the whole table upside down. And he changes the reality. And I'm going to share with you what he's saying. He shows us that what is really the true reality, and really will help us to understand and deal with things like this a little better. Baal HaSulam explains that chisaron, lacking, is the necessary tool, is the necessary apparatus, is the necessary utensil, vessel, to revealing the light, legilui ha'or. Lehavdil, as it says in who is it? Lao Tse says that the most important object in clay is the space in the middle. When you make the vase, is the space in the middle. That chisaron, that lacking, is the most important thing to reveal the light. This is, so therefore, and any revelation of something else that you realize that you're lacking is a preparation to receive more light in your life. If you realize that you don't know and you feel like lacking, you're going to get up and learn. And so is anything else. If you don't feel like anything, you're not going to do. Rabotai, if you don't feel that something is missing from your life, if you don't feel the Bet HaMikdash is lacking from your life, you're not going to cry, you're not going to care if they're going to give it to I don't know whom. If Erdogan himself, that doofus, will come there and build his villa on top of it, you won't care because you don't feel anything missing inside of you. That's something very important for us to realize. The Ari in Sefer Etz Chaim writes, and I'm quoting, Da ki terem shenetzlu haneetzalim nivreu hanivraim. Before anything was actually happening, haya or elyon pashut memale et kol hametziut. There was simple light that filled up reality. In this reality, those neshamot were created in order to receive the good of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But then something else happened. Then those neshamot felt a sense of lack of content, let's call it this way, because they were created only as a receiving vessel with an endless need to receive all the good, and therefore they had a will to be mashpia as well, to be look like the Borei, like HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But how are they going to do so? So they became upset. And as more the reality is filled with His light, is right, it's going to be like lighting a candle to the sun outside. If you light a candle with the full sun outside, in July, you light the candle, you're going to make any difference? It's not going to make any difference. So what good does it do to me when this light is filling up the whole reality, and I'm a vessel that's supposed to receive the light? What good does it do to me? Feeling horrible, feeling useless. That's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a new reality that's called darkness, choshech. Now you might understand why we start with darkness, vayi erev, vayi boker, right? And that choshech is an empty space. Is an empty internal space. And in this reality, HaKadosh Baruch Hu shadowed on, and He created everything that we call creation. The world, the universe, everything. And He did that in order to give a room, a working space, for the neshamot to grow. Rabotai, I told you this many times. If you are, and look at the process that we're going through. Let's say we are fathers and mothers, right? The mamas and the papas, right? And we are like God. We merge and we create a new life, a baby. If you're going to restrict your baby like this, as a father or as a mother, you're going to cast a big shadow on the kid. The kid is not going to grow. He's going to feel useless. He's going to feel terrible. You got to give the kid some space to grow. That's why I keep telling you all the time. If you, Bezrat Hashem, are parents or will be parents, get your kids some room to grow. Let them do things. Let them get dirty. Let them clean. If they let them explore what they want. Let them go to the field that they want, not the field that you want them to go because you didn't do it. That's called restricting. That's terrible. If you have a business, don't let your kid work in your business. Go work somewhere else. When you finish, you have to come and work for me. That's what he wants. As a mother, don't restrict your kid. He'll become a wimp, become useless. What kind of a husband would it be? You need to give them space to grow. I told you, I call this kind of parenting bonsai parenting. You're making bonsai kids. In potential, they'll become giant trees, but in reality, they're bonsai. And I'm not, believe me, Karate Kid. Bonsai. Give him room to grow, to explore, to experiment. Not drugs, life. That's in reality. That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu made it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we call this place, and he did so, create this place so they could shed their own light in the darkness. If there is complete darkness, if I turn the light of a candle, I create a big light. You could see a candle if you are outdoors, out in the woods, in the open. You light one candle, if it's completely dark, no light bulbs, you could see it for miles. Miles. The same thing here. So we need to understand that in the words of the Kabbalah, the creation of darkness, it's called chakika. Lachkok is to engrave. HaKadosh Baruch Hu engraved in that great light, what we call that superior, that light, that filled up the whole reality. He engraved spaces. Like when you lift it up, you make a little indentation when you do engraving, right? Real engraving. They push the metal, the material up. And eventually they're going to be filled back into, if you ever be able to take a machine or kind of flatten it, eventually those engraving are going to be filled again with light. But we need to bring this light about. Only through the light in which we will generate for fixing and understanding will bring it about. So therefore, when you don't have something, it's good. When you are rich, because you work hard, it's good for you. But when your kid becomes rich because you work hard, and he didn't have to work a day in his life, and he has everything he wants, it's the worst thing you can do for him. There's no desire. That's why many businesses don't last to the second or even third generation, without a doubt. Most of the businesses don't last beyond the first generation. Very few are family owned for years and years and years because of that. There's no drive. So everything that happens in the beginning of creation happens every single day, and this is our job that we see throughout the day. And we need to understand that in our generation, I'll make it a little shorter, in our generation, that we need to know, and we feel we need to know everything, and the whole entire thing. There are certain things that you're not supposed to know, and it's not so-called of your business, and we should be able to do so without understanding, without asking. As Rashi says, the nations count the Jews and they say, Ma mitzvah azot u'ma tam ba yesh ba. Right? The first encounter that you're going to have with an evangelic Christian or missionary, they're going to start doubting your core belief. Oh, you don't know the ads, it's nothing. Oh, this is nothing, and so on and so forth. So we need to understand. We need to understand. And that's what Moshe, hard for him to understand, is the loss that he had. Through the loss of Miriam, if he would have come to terms and fill that gap, there would be tremendous light of Am Israel, and he would have entered the land. But he failed to understand that. That creating an instability inside of him as well. And we need to understand that as well, that many times things don't go our way, and that's okay. You need to understand that if HaKadosh Baruch Hu closes a door for you, He opens thousands more. The problem is that we keep on getting fixated on the closed door. We don't bother to look at all the other doors that are open. We are fixated on the closed door. And that becomes a problem. Let go and let God. And If we feel that we don't have koach anymore and we're about to give up and we can fix and we can be mashpia on people and we can't help anymore, we need to remember what the Baal Shem Tov says, and we need to tell ourselves, Ani ken yachol, I can do it. I can do it. Like, what's his name, Thomas? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Right? I can do it. I'm a Jew. I'm a son of a king. I'm a prince. We are Am Yisrael. We deserve a better reality. We deserve a harmonious reality. We need to find that place of darkness within us and to bring the light with it. So chas v'shalom, when a person dies, most people will tell you, just forget about it, put it behind and go on with your life. And that is the wrong thing to do. In that lacking of you, when you felt that lacking inside of you, you need to embrace the pain. And you need to find the strength inside of you to bring about, not to forget, to embrace it. So the memory of the person will not become obsolete from this world. Embrace the pain. Acknowledge the pain. Feel that gap that is in your heart now, because a person dies, he takes with him a piece of your heart. Take this gap that inside of you now and fill it up with light. That's why we try to do chesed. That's why we say kaddish. That's why we learn Torah. Why do we learn Torah? Why learning Torah is good for the person, the dead, and the one who stayed behind. Because it fills your life with light. It fills your life with meaning. That's why when chas v'shalom somebody dead, we do something in the schut of, in the merit of. We build shuls, we donate the Sefer Torah, we do, because it fills our life with a positive action, and we're concentrating on bringing about the light, not instead of it diving into the canyon, into the darkness. That's why, and it's okay not to understand why somebody was taken away from us, because it's not ours to know. We need to concentrate on what we need to do, on what we have, not on what we don't have. If you look at what you have and not rather than to look at what you don't have, first of all, you're going to have a lot of money. That's first of all, because you, Baruch Hashem, you don't need to buy more. Second, you're going to be a very happy person. And maybe when you fill your life with such positive action, you'll be able to face HaKadosh Baruch Hu and answer Him about and give Him a din v'cheshbon about your actions. This is a time to do that, Rabotai. Again, we're very close to the turn of the year, closing the page on this year, and Rosh Hashanah is around the corner. And I'm telling you now, and have this in mind, you're going to stand in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Rosh Hashanah. You have to give Him a din v'cheshbon for all the times that you didn't come to learn. You couldn't. Coming to learn is bringing about the light. Bringing a person to learn is bringing about more light. Doing chesed, doing mitzvot, kiddush Shem Shamayim. Apply softness. Be soft. Don't be weak. Be nice. Be solid. Be like a fist of iron wrapped in cotton. Dedicated to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and bringing about the light. That's tikkun olam. That's fixing the world. Rabotai, we shall have a Shabbat Shalom, and we should bring about the light. Amen. Amen.